Mindless shopping can cause us to spend more than we can afford, and it often leads to clutter. And this is basically buying something without considering whether you actually need it. It's something that many of us are guilty of, and it can be a tricky habit to break, but it is possible. So today we're looking at a few things that you probably don't need to buy this year. Now, I'm not saying that you should absolutely, under no circumstances, buy the items on this list, but if you're looking to save money or maybe even reduce clutter, what I am suggesting is being mindful whenever you're thinking about putting these items in your cart and seriously consider if it's something you can do without. So, the first item on the list is souvenirs. And for some people, I know that this might be a hard one, especially if you're used to buying t-shirts and keychains and mugs and other small items when you're visiting someplace new. Souvenirs are part of the vacation or getaway experience, and I completely understand the excitement of buying an item bearing the name of a location. For years, we used to collect shot glasses from different places and other items. But after a while, the stuff really started to take over and it started to clutter like the side tables and the shelves. And truthfully, most of what we purchased were things that we couldn't even use in everyday life. It was basically stuff sitting there just to look at. Now, this doesn't mean that I never purchase souvenirs because occasionally I will, but not as much as before. And before buying something, I seriously consider if I'm going to use it on a daily basis. In 2019, I bought a keychain on one of our trips, and more recently, I purchased a mug, which was actually the first one that I bought in a few years. But again, these are items that I use on a regular basis. And while we're on the topic of coffee mugs, this is probably another thing that you don't need to buy this year. I went through a phase where I was buying mugs at a record pace, which is kind of crazy as I look back. Not only was I buying these as souvenirs, but if I was walking through Target or Home Goods or TJ Maxx, sometimes I would see a mug with like a little cute saying on it, and if I liked it, I would usually get it, even though I really didn't need any more. And to be honest with you, it wasn't until I ran out of cabinet space that I realized that I might have a problem. I'm a tea and coffee drinker, and when it comes to mugs, I do like variety, and maybe you feel the same. But eventually, it gets to a point where we have to ask ourselves, when is it enough? So now I'm extremely selective. And again, I'm not saying to never buy another coffee mug because one day when you're out, you might see one with a really cute saying that really speaks to you. And if that happens, one thing that you might do is use the one in, one out rule, where basically, if you decide to buy the mug, you agree to get rid of one that you're no longer using. Another thing that you might not need to buy this year is more storage bins. Now, if you're starting your first organization project in a long time, getting a few bins is great for keeping things tidy and out of sight. But on the other hand, if you are always buying storage bins, this could be a sign that it's time to get rid of a few items. I read something that said storage bins give us an excuse to hold on to stuff that we don't need anymore and stuff that we will never use again. Keep in mind too that while bins can be great for organization, they can also add to the clutter. They can take up valuable space in your closet and garage, and once you've filled them with stuff, you might forget what's inside. So whenever you feel that things are starting to get out of control and there's stuff everywhere, I really encourage you to fight the urge to buy more storage bins and instead start a donation bag. In addition, you probably don't need more subscriptions this year. Subscriptions have taken over, and it is what it is. And at this point, I think it's unrealistic to tell people to cancel all of their monthlies or even suggest that they shouldn't use these services. But even though these are a part of life, a line needs to be drawn somewhere because there's always going to be a new service that you could add. And sure, some of these might be inexpensive, maybe $5 here and $10 there, but the cost does add up. Currently, US households spend about $200 a month on subscriptions, and that's just an average. Some people spend less and others spend more. Regardless of where you fall, there is likely some room for improvement. So, over the next 12 months, commit to not adding any new monthly subscriptions. Now, if you do decide to sign up for something, in this case, you can also use the one in, one out rule. So, if you sign up for one, you agree to cancel another. Another thing that you probably don't need to buy this year is unnecessary home decor. And this is for my people who love interior design, which can include artwork, candles, table accents, pillows, and so forth. I love this stuff too, and sometimes I will walk through home decor stores just for fun. Because this is my favorite type of store, there have been times when I've gone in just to browse and see what's new, and of course, I will end up buying something just because. I would be so focused on how cute something looked or how it matched my color scheme that I wouldn't even consider whether I had a place for it. So when I brought it home, I would put it anywhere, and sometimes it worked in the space and sometimes it didn't. So unless you're actively decorating or you're looking for something in particular, don't browse for fun, especially if your space is finished and you're trying to reduce clutter. Another thing that you don't need to buy this year is just in case items. And this is an item that catches your eye when you're walking through a store. And it's something that you had no intentions of buying, and you probably haven't given much thought to it in the past. But you saw it and thought that would be something good to have just in case. If you ever say those three words to yourself, don't buy the item. Because if just in case has not happened yet, it probably won't happen in the future, which means you'll end up spending money and buying stuff that you will probably never use. And finally, you probably don't need any more lotions or body washes. And obviously, I'm not saying not to buy skincare products. I'm all for skincare and I love lotions and body washes as much as the next person. And it's because of my love for these items that I know how easy it is to stockpile them. Thinking about my past pattern, sometimes I would have a tendency to get bored with a particular product when it was only about halfway empty, even if it wasn't a large size, and I would buy something different. And again, I would get bored and continue this cycle. So I would end up with all of these lotions and body washes that I didn't finish. So if by any chance you do this, make this the year that you're less wasteful and you actually finish what you have before buying something new. And this doesn't only apply to these items, it can apply to any personal care product. So that's all that I have for you guys today. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and also subscribe if you like personal finance and you want to see more videos like this. I typically post every weekend, so thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in a few days.